We're excited to have you here. We're excited for this opportunity today. We have with us today Academy Superintendent Lieutenant General Jay Silveria, Director of Athletics Nathan Pine. So the order of events will be opening statement by General Silveria, and then we'll have a photo op in front here with both men, and then an opening statement from Nathan Pine. After that, we'll open it to questions. Please raise your hand and identify yourself and direct your question to which person you'd like to ask it to. And finally, before we begin, if everybody could silence their cell phones. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Troy.
You bet.
I did just silence my cell phone, so. Good afternoon. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Friends, family, special thanks to leadership of USAFA for being here. Thank you. We're here to introduce a new teammate for the Air Force Academy. But first, I think it's important to point out that we owe a great deal of thanks to Colonel Jennifer Block. So Colonel Block has served as our athletic director since April last year, and she's the first woman to serve as an athletic director at the 3 military service academies. So we owe her a great deal of thanks for the outstanding work that Jennifer did. So thank you very much. Her work allowed us to do two things. It allowed us to change the structure of the position, and it also allowed us to take on a national search to find the right person to take on this role. And believe me, we've been looking forward to this for quite some time. And while this is a new structure and a new position for us, it certainly is not new across Division I athletics. The other military service academies have a very similar structure. So this will be the leader of all Air Force athletics here and will serve as my primary advisor on all things athletics. And to fill that role, we had the opportunity to go out for a national search. We had nearly 100 applicants, and in that we selected Mr. Nathan Pine. Mr. Pine comes to us with an outstanding record as the Director of Intercollegiate Athletics at the College of Holy Cross. He's been there since 2013. He brings a wealth of knowledge from a career of experience in sports management at a number of Division I schools. And he is the first Division I athletic director that we've hired at the Air Force Academy. And I have to tell you that when I first met Nathan and I got to know him, he valued academics in the same way that we value academics here at the Air Force Academy. And most importantly, we were all impressed from the very beginning with Mr. Pine that he embraced the value that we place in developing leaders of character at the Air Force Academy. He understands our priorities in the developing, training, and education of those leaders. And he recognizes the important role that Air Force athletics play in creating our next generation of leaders for the Air Force to take on the 21st century battlefield. We're incredibly excited to have Mr. Nathan Pine. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Nathan Pine. Step out here in front. You might see him there. Thank you very much. One of those has to turn out.
That's right. Well, thank you, General. It's a great day to become a Falcon. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Lieutenant General Silveria and the entire search committee for their confidence in me and the opportunity to join the leadership team here at the United States Air Force Academy. I've had a fondness for this place ever since I first came out here with a visiting team for that other service academy in New York. For me, Colorado Springs, it's a picturesque setting. It reminds me a lot of my home state in Oregon. Add to that the pageantry of a football Saturday, the impressive flyovers, and it's been an impossible place for me to forget ever since. I'm grateful for the time that I spent at Army early in my professional career, because it's influenced my way of thinking and what things are most important to me, and why helping young people to become the best versions of themselves through athletics is a worthwhile endeavor, and it's been my calling. I moved to New York as a young administrator, eager to move up in the profession. My time and experiences there, though, helped to show me just how extraordinary the young men and women who choose this educational opportunity and life of service truly are. Since then, I've been purposeful in seeking opportunities that reflect the importance of academic and athletic excellence along with service. This is an important time for Air Force athletics, with the restructuring of the athletic director position, with the growth of the Air Force Academy Athletic Corporation. Our first job will always be to develop leaders of character, preparing them to serve in the Air Force upon graduation. But we'll also work tirelessly to achieve academic excellence and athletic excellence consistently, and consistently compete for championships. We'll do all this with integrity while representing the Air Force Academy with pride and enthusiasm. There's no question we have high expectations and very high standards at the Academy, and that's exactly what our nation needs. The expectation that our cadet athletes will have a meaningful and successful athletic experience is important to me, and that's why I'm here. Athletics is where we can share in successes and learn to win the right way with grace and humility. It's also where we can learn to get up and try again when we get knocked down. These experiences are all valuable in developing our cadet athletes to be resilient leaders of character. It will be my mission to ensure that our cadet athletes, coaches, and staff have the tools and support they need to be successful in these pursuits. If you'll indulge me just a little longer, I'd also like to take a moment to thank those who have helped me to get to this position, because nobody gets here alone. Some of whom are here with us today, and I thank each of you for making the time and the travel to share in this special moment. I'd also like to recognize and thank my many colleagues, supporters, and friends who have reached out and I've heard from over the last month since the public announcement. I appreciate that. A huge thank you is in order to my wife, Stephanie, who's beautiful in every way and who supported me and helped me enjoy every step of this crazy journey. She always said that she knew what she was getting into all those years ago, but I also know that this path is not an easy one, and I couldn't have done it without you. Thank you. I'm also extremely grateful to have been mentored and supported by some of the best in the business. People who have invested their time and shared their wisdom with me while also empowering me to grow as a leader. Greg Byrne, Kevin Anderson, Sandy Barber, I'm forever indebted to each of you. There are certainly many, many more who have all played important roles in helping me get to this point. And from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you. I'll end with this. I can't wait to get started. Go Air Force, beat Army, sink Navy.
Outstanding.
We will open it to questions now, so please raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you. Tom?
If you guys could describe, by the way, Tom wrote it with the Gazette, if you could describe a little bit the restructure, and does this expand the terrazzo gap? Does this create a problem when you take some of these other functions away from your athletic director?
So I'll take that on. Thanks, Tom. So the position of the athletic director will not change in that the athletic director is my primary advisor on all things athletics. And that's all things athletics, Tom. As you know, we have 4,300 athletes here. Whether they play intercollegiate athletics or whether they're in intramurals or whether they're in PE, then we have 4,300 athletes. And so I expect the athletic director will advise me on all things athletics. So the organizational structure that we changed is that the athletic director will be an employee of the athletic corporation. So that's the part that we changed. But the part that role of leading the Air Force athletics has not changed, and they will be my primary advisor on all things athletics.
Ryan Kaufman, Extra Sports 1300. Nathan, when you look at this job and after you were announced that you would be the new athletic director, were there a couple of things that you looked at that you said, this is what Air Force athletics can do better, or this is what I would like to enhance? Or are there a couple of things that come to mind that you will try to do here in your first few days as athletic director?
Sure. Well, I appreciate the question. I think the thing I'm going to do in the first few days is really get out and introduce myself around and meet my constituents and mission partners, both inside the athletic program and on campus. So that'll be early on things that need to take attention. I think that as you look at Air Force, especially with the restructure in the AFAC, there's incredible opportunity here to build on the foundation of success that we currently have, and really move the bar significantly in revenue generation and fundraising and some of the things that now being an employee of the AFAC enables the athletic director position to do. So I think that there's a lot of that. I think learning, a lot of our successes and talents and strengths internally will be things that take me a little while to do. But I think there's a ton of potential here. I think that we're already having success, so stepping in at a good place to jump off and raise the bar from there.
Next question. Grant.
Grant Meach, News 5. Nathan, this question is for you. Your time spent at Army and at West Point, what did you learn or glean or take away from there that you feel like you can bring here to the Air Force Academy to make the Air Force Academy better?
Sure. I think each of the academies are different in the way they do things. So I understand and respect that. I think I probably have shortened my learning curve a little bit on government contracting and some of the other things that go into running an athletic department at a military academy. So those pieces, maybe a little bit better understanding of the mission and what ultimately we're trying to do in athletics, in our military training, and in our academics. That's helpful. But at the end of the day, I think that there's different ways of doing things. There are going to be things that I learn early on that are different. I just think some of that learning curve is shortened a little bit from 4 years at West Point, and I enjoyed them very much.
Rob? Yep, go ahead.
Congratulations, Nathan. Rob Namden, KRDO TV, and here in Colorado Springs. I don't know if you've looked at all the facilities here. Obviously, there's new locker rooms here in the football stadium here, but the stadium itself, I'm assuming Coach Calhoun would like it to have a facelift. Is there a plan of attack and traffic and everything else? Have you thought about that at all? I know you just started, but.
Day one, we'll jump right into it. I think that there's been some discussion. I haven't been intimately involved in the depths of those discussions around some facility needs, but to be competitive in Division I athletics, you constantly need to be focused on your facilities, improvements, your branding, things that are going to be the tools that your coaches and cadet athletes need to be successful. So yes, there will be facility things that we need to address probably in the short term and in the long term, and a lot of that's driven by price and fundraising capability. So we'll start to peel back the onion and look at some of those things. I know some of that planning and discussion has already started, so it'll be a matter of getting up to speed, making sure that's absolutely the way we need to move forward, and then jumping in.
Is there something immediately that you'd like to maybe attack in your first year here?
I think I'd like to understand some of the great work that's been done ahead of me before I go out on the record with what's going to be the top priority, because at the end of the day, I want to respect the good work that's been done to date and the foundation that's been laid.
Hey, Nathan. Sam Farnsworth, KKTV here in Colorado Springs. Two questions. I'll just ask them separately. First, you mentioned you're going to go out. One of the top priorities for you is to get out, get to know other people on campus, coaches, whatnot. Have you had any interactions yet? to what extent have you already been able to interact with some of the coaching staffs?
I got to interact with a few of the coaches during the interview process. I got to sit in on a meeting with General Silveria yesterday as he addressed the entire athletic program. So very limited to date. I am familiar with some because we've competed against them at other institutions that I've been at. So some of those will be a little quicker than others. I think the other piece that we didn't hit on that we need to is going to need to be doing external outreach to external constituents here in the Colorado Springs community and also in our alumni community and supporter community. So there's a lot of balls in the air that you're juggling when you first get started, and I'm up for the challenge, but I'm really looking forward to it.
And secondly, as you're familiar with your time at Army, military academies, finding wins can sometimes be a challenge because it's, the priority is obviously military. For you as an athletic director, what's the formula, or do you have one that maybe you think could be the formula to success in finding more winning programs here?
I think it looks different for each program. What I will say is it's in consultation with the leadership of the academy and also with our coaching staff, how we build our plan for each program. And each one is going to look different, and each one is going to have different needs. And so it's a matter of being disciplined to sit down and have those conversations and put together the plan for each of those programs. But ultimately, you're absolutely right. The goal is success. We have had success. We want to have more. And in some areas, you're starting from a little higher place than in others. So that's why each one of them are a little bit unique. And the recruiting processes across sports are a little bit different. So you have to respect that. You have to make sure that you engage with the professionals and the talented folks that we have in place. And I look forward to jumping in and doing that.
Right. You mentioned the external outreach. Are there some examples of things you did at Holy Cross or at Army that were particularly effective? This is a community that's a lot of transplants coming in, and it always seems like there's a new batch of people in town. Is there anything that you have found success with reaching out to the community and getting them more engaged in the athletic programs at Army and at Holy Cross?
I think it holds true for any institution. The first thing I would say is actively inviting folks to come and participate and letting them know that not only are they welcome, but they're wanted. And it's a meaningful experience for our cadet athletes when our venues are full and they have community members there supporting them. We can't fill our football stadium with just the folks that we have here on base. So we need to engage the Colorado Springs community in order to have that atmosphere that we want to have. So one, going out and inviting folks to come and be a part of it. Two, making it an enjoyable experience while they're here so that they want to come back, I have found to be something that works well at every institution. And then the other piece of it, I think, is being engaging and articulating the vision, what we're trying to do, why it's important to come and support our cadet athletes in this experience, because you have to sell the vision to get people to buy in, especially when you have a community of folks that not all of them have gone to the academy. Certainly some know about it and have been here a long time. Others are seeing it for the first time. So you're engaging them on different levels. And that vision and what you're trying to do is probably the most important thing.
Your predecessors have dealt with issues involving misconduct of athletes. Most recently, we had a report this week on how to stamp out hazing in sports here. Jim Knowlton came in facing problems with sexual assault in programs. How do you deal with that stuff? What's your plan?
I think that really you do it in consultation with the academy leadership. At the end of the day, I mentioned it in some of my remarks. We have very high standards. We want to make sure that we have the systems in place that when we do notice transgressions, that we admit to them and we deal with them. I think the other piece of it that's really important is that we learn from them and work on our educational processes so that we don't repeat those things. So it's an ever-changing world that we live in. We're certainly dealing with 18 to 24-year-old young people, and mistakes can and will be made. Our biggest deal is making sure that we have the systems in place that when they are, we recognize them, we deal with them appropriately, and then we work on our education so that we don't repeat them.